Good evening. So apologies there for anybody that got cut off as well. I don't know what's going on, but my internet decided to kick me out. So always fantastic when wonderful technical errors happen. Those of you that were watching the previous one, hopefully you can slot back in. But today we're talking about how you can totally demolish your exam day nerves. That's what we're talking about. But if you have any other questions, just pop them in the comments box below, because I want to be able to answer those as we go on through as well. So I'll stop and start what I'm chatting about so that I can interact with you guys. So please do pop that little comment underneath the chat box just so I know you're with me and you're ready to rock and roll. And I'll recognise a few names, I'm sure, as well as they come through. So please do pop a little comment below just so I know that you're watching me, that you can hear me, and we will get started. So it looks like my sound and everything's working okay, so I'm going to crack on, and hopefully part 2 will work a little bit better in relation to not losing internet connection. So basically we're talking about how you can demolish your exam day nerves. So as part of this getting rid of exam day nerves, I've already kind of briefly run over the fact in part 1 that really we want to rephrase the feeling of nervousness and turn it into a feeling of excitedness. Now, the plan with this essentially is that if you can turn that feeling of nerves into a feeling of excitement, the trick of it is that they are basically the same feeling. So actually, if you think about how you feel right now, if you're nervous about your exam or you're leading up to your exam and you feel a little bit nervous by things, how does it feel? Okay, a little bit anxious, a little bit knotted stomach, maybe a little bit wide-eyed about things. Well, that could easily be excitement. So it could just be that you're actually just excited about the outcome. You're excited that you're this close to being able to complete your qualification or your PT qualification or whatever it is that you're working towards. So could it actually be that you're just a little bit excited by the whole thought of being able to become a personal trainer or complete your qualification? And if that is even an inkling of possibility, then you need to believe in yourself just a little bit more. And if you can believe in yourself just that bit, it will allow you to be able to sort of step up and allow to see that as excitement, a lot more positive situation as well. So we're having a few comments popping in. So I just want to double check that I can see you all as they come in. So please do pop a little comment below just so that I can know that you're listening and you can hear me okay as we head on through. That would be great. Okay, so the next one I've spoken about in relation to the first thing is check how you are with your nerves. If those nerves are stopping you from being able to focus straight, then you need to set up a strategy. So if you have a little strategy in place, you're actually going to be able to feel a little bit calmer on exam day. Just a little bit more calm is going to help you be able to take your time on the exam questions. It's going to help you get a better grade on your exam questions, and it's going to allow you to feel a lot more confident and believe you can do it a lot better. So what we're looking at is being able to have a strategy. Now this strategy, probably the best one I do with people, is the brain dump. Now, if you haven't heard of a brain dump, then you need to be getting on our YouTube and our blog, because there's plenty in there as well that you can be having a look at. So a couple of comments and questions coming in. Just going to check that you can all see and hear okay. Fantastic. Lovely. Okay, so I'm going to carry on because it seems like a few of you are watching and are absolutely able to interact with me. But if you could pop a little comment below, it just allows me to know that you can see and hear me fine as well. Okay, lovely. So I was talking about brain dump. If you haven't done a brain dump before, then it's essentially when you first walk into your exam, you're holding so much information in your head. And as you're holding all that information in your head, it's hard to then be able to take clarity over what you see on the exam paper and then be able to put that into motion. So what you need to do is you need to dump that stuff that's in your head and chuck it down on paper as soon as the invigilator turns around and says, you are ready to start. So as soon as the invigilator says you're ready to go, that's when you literally jot down the things that are in your head. Now, it's important to plan it, because if you don't plan it, then you can't necessarily remember what main things you want to work on. So the main thing to do is when you're preparing for your exam, in that lead up, you want to be able to take a few moments aside just to jot down some examples and some areas that you feel you really want to work on. Now, what are the areas that you get stuck on in particular? And as you're looking at those and you're kind of going, yeah, I know exactly the areas I get stuck on. It might be the heart. It might be a particular combination of proteins you need to know for your nutrition. It might be the circulatory system. It might be the number of bones in the body. Whatever it might be, you want to be able to have a visual representation of that you can rehearse, so that when you get into your exam and the invigilator says go, you can then be scribbling those down, and as you've planned them in a nice visual way, so that you can regurgitate it back out. And that's the plan going forwards, because it allows you then, when you get to that exam question, you can check your notes as if you've got a manual with you. The only difference is you didn't walk in with that manual under your arm, you walked in with that manual in your head, and all you're doing is just popping it down on paper. So a brain dump is awesome. Fantastic. Keep those comments popping in as well. It's nice to see a few of you joining us. Fantastic. Keep those comments. Lovely. Okay, so as you are joining below, please do pop a little comment just so I can see. Lovely, just so I can see that you are joining us as well. That would be really great. Fab. Lovely. Okay, good. Thank you so much for your comments. Okay, so the next one in, we are literally looking at another strategy in relation to brain dump, and for this one, it's all about being able to slow down on exam day. So most people that don't do very well on exam day, usually that's because they are speeding through things. It's not because they're slow or they don't remember it. It's actually that they're going too fast. Charlie, thank you so much for your question. Any tips on remembering different planes of the body? I will do that one as soon as I finish this for you. Awesome. Okay, so most people are going a little bit too slow, a little bit too fast, and they're sort of skimming past all these questions, and they kind of zip on through, which means that they get so far, they sort of see a question, they see a couple of buzzwords on the question, and then all of a sudden they've assumed the answer based probably on something that you've read in the mock exam or something that you think is going to be the given answer. So for example, it would be a question relating to insulin, and then instantly you look down and you go, oh, it must be about glucose, the glucose must be the answer. But you haven't necessarily read all of the question or slowed yourself down enough to be able to take the time. And that's part of what the brain dump will do. The brain dump will definitely give you a chance to just relax, slow yourself down, and it should only take a couple of minutes. So it's not actually going to affect the time that you have for exam day, but it is going to be able to just set you up ready to be able to move on it. So, evening Hannah, lovely to see you here as well. If you have any questions, pop them in. So slowing down is a really good place to start. So if you are at all worried about your exam, make sure you remind yourself as many times as you can. Every time you see a new question, just remind yourself, slow down. Read it thoroughly and slow down. Don't make any assumptions based on any mock questions you've ever had in the past. Just take it gently. Fantastic. Okay, so earlier I had a comment, just a moment, about how do you remember different planes of motion. I believe that was your question, Charlie. So I'm going to hop over to that. So, Charlie, yeah, any tips for remembering different planes of the body? Okay, so first of all, it's not necessarily planes in the body, it's planes of motion. So it's about how you move through space. So, first of all, it's a really good question, and it's usually an area that people get stuck on. So you are definitely not alone. Okay, so in relation to planes of motion, there are 3 in your body, the 3 different planes of movement that you can go through. Now, as you're doing these planes of movement, we do them in daily life. So all of our joints move through various planes. Some of them can only move in one plane, some of them can move in multiple planes, which is good for us to know. But there are 3 different ways, 3 different planes you need to know. One of them is frontal plane. Now, frontal plane is this plane here. So it's as if you're doing a shoulder press or a pull down. Now, the way I remember this is because if you look at this from the front, so you can see it from the front, then in this position here, you can see the most amount of movement of the joint from the front. So that's therefore the frontal plane. So I generally find that's a really easy, simple way of remembering it. It might be a little bit too simple for you. Let me know if that's okay, Charlie. But you're looking at, if you had to check the technique of that client, where would you check them from? If you're doing that shoulder press movement, you're not going to see much from the side. You're not going to see much from above them. You want to be able to see them from the front, where you've got the most amount of movement. And it's happening from a place where you are almost sandwiched between two planes of glass. That's your frontal plane. So you've got things like shoulder press, lat pull down, things like lateral raises as well. Other things in relation to planes, so you've got frontal, then you've got sagittal. So sagittal is like a wheel effect, and it's probably the one we use the most. When we sit down, we're sitting sagittally because we've got flexion and extension happening all over our body. A lot of flexion usually in our hips and our knees, etc. So sagittal is in this forward motion here. When you're walking, when you're squatting, that and lunging, and frontal raise in front rather than sort of lateral raise that we just went through, that's all sagittal plane. So all this is sagittal. Now, the way I remember sagittal is because if I want to be able to show you that movement, so let me pick something you'll be able to see. Let's go for bicep curl. If I want to show you a bicep curl, or I want to check the technique of my clients on a bicep curl, what angle is it best to see the biggest amount of movement? Have a think. In fact, actually, if you're watching, just pop a little comment. What area do you think it is? Which side would you go to? Would you watch them from the front? Would you watch them from the side? Or would you watch them from on top of their head? Hopefully you have a little comment. I know there's a little delay. I'm going to go ahead and answer it anyway because I'm impatient. But basically, if you're doing a bicep curl, you want to watch them from the side, because from the side, you're going to be able to see the greatest range of movement. You're going to be able to see the joints moving the most they can. Awesome. So sagittal is from the side, frontal is from the front, and the final one is transverse. Transverse means like twisting or rotating. And you're going to see the most amount of movement. Awesome, Charlie, thank you. Most amount of movement that you see is going to be from the top. So if you take pec fly and rear fly, those are both using the transverse plane predominantly, because the most amount of movement that you would see isn't necessarily from the front, isn't necessarily from the side, it's from on top. That's where you can see the most amount of movement. So that's my sort of easy way of remembering it. F for frontal, so frontal you'd see it from the front. Sagittal you'd see it from the side, so that's like the bicep curl. And then transverse starts with a T and you'd see it from the top, and it's generally like twisting motions. Charlie, does that help you? Is that sort of give you a little bit of a quick rundown of the 3 particular planes in the body? Also, whilst I'm here, I'm just interested, if you pop a little comment below, those of you that are getting ready for your exams, how soon is it till exam day? I just am interested because that's going to influence my next kind of couple of points in relation to feeling nervous on exam day and where you go from here. So please do pop a little comment below. How long have you got till exam day? And Charlie, did that help? Awesome, good. I can see your comment now. That's great. I'm glad it helped. I'm sure it helped a few other people as well. Lots of other comments on planes of motion on our YouTube, actually. So there's a full video on our YouTube channel, and actually it's probably our most watched. So even if you just go across, you'll see it on the front screen. Wednesday the 24th. Okay, awesome, Charlie. So you've still got, what are we now, the 10th? So you've still got 2 weeks to go. Probably the perfect amount of time. Nikki, Sunday. Okay, cool. A little bit closer. But in relation to the times that you have, everybody is different, obviously. Everybody's joining us at different points. But if you have enough time, you want to be able to allow yourself a chance to get as much information in gradually and sequentially as you can on the lead up. Charlie, you've got loads of time. Those 2 weeks, make sure you do a little bit every single day. If there's an area you're less happy with that sort of makes you kind of cry inside, then that's the ones that you need to do on a almost daily basis. Generally for people, that's muscles, origins and insertions. If that is the case, then I definitely suggest that you sort of give yourself one muscle every day or a couple muscles every day so that you chunk down your learning little bit by little. Little by little, a little becomes a lot. Now, Neil tells me that all the time. So that's Neil's phrase. I can't take it. It's in Neil's quotes. But little by little, a little becomes a lot. So do little bite-sized bits of information regularly, because that's going to help you get prepared, ready for when you do your exam. So that's one of the biggest parts. Nikki, although it's only on Sunday, we are on Wednesday, so that's good. And I know you've joined us on the getting ready. It's now a case of doing some mock papers and finding out what areas you're a little bit weaker on. Now, when you're looking at these mock papers, what our plan is in relation to the mock is that you don't want to just go through and then mark them all off and go, oh no, I only got 20 out of 100 or whatever it might be. You want to look for comparisons. You want to look for trends. So what are the main trends when you're looking at this? And okay, I think I'm back online. So hopefully we didn't lose that partway through. Apologies if we did, or if it went a bit blurry in the middle. But now hopefully we're back running again, running and rolling. So, and where on earth was I? Okay, yes, Nikki, you've only got until Sunday for your exam. So if you only have till Sunday, it doesn't mean that all is lost. It's a case of going through, doing your mock questions. So you've downloaded our 101 mock questions already, I know you have. So when you've got those mock papers, is to then go through them, do as many as you can, and then look at your assessment, look at your actual result at the end of it. So go through, and it's not just the overall result that I'm interested in, it's each little trend that you have. So, for example, the 3 areas that people generally find are tricky when they have a mock paper. First one is they find they've answered the questions kind of silly. They've just put down silly answers, and that links to my comment earlier in that you don't want to make assumptions. You want to go in with full confidence as much as you can, but you want to slow down so you can fully read that question, because if you know the question, you're not making assumptions and you won't make silly answers. Generally, that's the first one that people find as a trend when they go through their mock papers. So 1, is it a silly question or silly answer that you've put in? 2, did you genuinely not understand the question in how it was worded? This comes up quite a lot. People generally kind of panic a little bit. They kind of get to a point where they go, actually, I don't know it now. I don't know what they're asking of me. Are they asking for a positive or a negative? What do they kind of want? Now, if there's particular words in there that you don't understand from an English point of view, if English is a second language especially, if you have any learning difficulties, then you are, and generally, if just everybody is able to physically ask their invigilator, can you tell me what this word means? If the invigilator can't tell you because in how they explain it, it'll give the answer of the question away, they will tell you, no, I can't tell you that. But it's always worth asking. If there's words like underpins, so like the adjective that they're actually asking you, or the verb that they want you to go and highlight something, or the adjective of how they want you to explain it, then ask your invigilator, what is this? Like, I can't understand it, and without understanding it, I can't answer the question. So your invigilator should be able to help you with that. That's the second one. Third one is the outcome that you might not actually know the answer. And that's okay. So if you don't know the answer, that's actually a great thing for a mock paper, because you're going to turn around and go, I didn't know that much on muscles. I didn't know that much on planes of movement, in which case you can now focus all of your attention, or not all of it, you've got to spread it out a little bit, but a lot of your attention towards the areas that you feel weaker on. So that means you're going to sort of spread it out a little bit. So, little tactic for you then, Nikki, do your mock questions. And in fact, Charlie, this will be really good for you as well. So do your mock questions. Then once you've marked through them all and you've got all of your answers, then you want to look for some trends. Number one, did you make silly mistakes? Is that the biggest thing that you did? Is it just silly mistakes for you not reading the question? Number two, did you not understand what the question was asking you in terms of like the adjectives in the word? What are they actually asking? And then number three, did you just not know the content? And if so, what areas did you struggle on most? Was it heart, muscles, bones, a particular side of nutrition, etc.? Could you just pop a little comment below if that was actually a useful little tactic, just so I know whether I'm on the right path? I also recognise a few names and stuff that are watching that aren't doing their exams, and that's awesome. So please do pop a little comment below if you've got any other questions outside of exams. Maybe it's training clients, specialist populations, all that type of stuff. I know there's a few of you that are on exercise referral as well. So just pop a little comment below and then I can answer your questions as we head through. As I can't see any other questions quite yet, I'll carry on with some of my tips for literally how you can demolish your exam day nerves. So as part of that, we've also said about breaking down your mock papers, which was the tactic I've just given you for Nikki and for Charlie. Also, you want to make sure that you're not talking about your exam questions either right before the exam or right after. And the reason for that, apart from the fact that it'll just do your head in, is that it will give you time and space away from it. Because if you get to literally exam day, you're standing in the corridor waiting to go in, and your friend comes up to you and goes, "Oh, I just can't remember it. What were those 3 planes of movement again?" And you go, "Oh my God, I only thought there were 2. Then you're already screwed. Your brain's literally frazzled at that exact point. What you don't want, in order to avoid that, because you can't guarantee what your friend's going to say, is just to say, "Look, I'm not speaking to you about anything exam related. I can talk to you about what you had for lunch and what you done in the gym when you were training, but I can't talk to you about anything exam related until later." And then when you come out of the exam, you set that tone with your friends and you do the same. You go, "Nope, I'm not talking about any of the questions that were in the exam," because you can't change what you've done. Once you've done it, you've done it. And it'll stop that kind of fear moment where you kind of get to the point of going, actually, I can't do any more, or I can't change it. And you don't want to go around thinking that you failed when potentially you haven't. It could just be that your friend got it wrong. So that's another big tip for you as well. And then the other thing is just to leave knowing that you've done everything you can. So if you're nervous, then there could be a real reason why you're a little bit nervous. It's either that you're really excited and you've just renamed it wrong, or it's that you kind of are in a place whereby you know deep down you've not really done everything you can. And if you've not done everything that you can or that's within your power, then you still have time to do it. And all your nerves are doing are giving you a pretty literal kick up the ass. So what you need to do is to either put more time and effort or effective time and effort into your studies and learning it and keeping that structured and methodical so you feel like you've covered everything you can, and also have a strategy ready for your exam day, something like that brain dump that we were talking about, something that suits you, that you've practiced in advance. So I noticed, Charlie, you're on your 3rd attempt ready for your exam. Nikki, I'm not sure, but regardless, whether it's your first time, your 5th time, I had one person that joined us after he'd done it for 13 attempts, bless him. So there is a lot of, some people will do a lot of attempts before they kind of go, actually, I need a different way of doing this. If that's the case, what did you do or not do on the first session, the first time you did it, the second time you did it? Because the chances are that gives you the keys of what you need to not be doing this time or what you need to be doing this time. So if you go, actually, I didn't really revise, I kind of was a little bit sure of myself, I thought I'd be okay. Or did you turn around and go, you know what, I just panicked, I didn't have a strategy, I was late, the bus was late, and then I didn't eat breakfast, my stomach was growling. So Nikki, second time. Okay, fantastic. So it's that knowing your strategy. What are you going to do on that exam day? So for those of you watching now, so Charlie, Nikki, any of those that are watching now, pop a little comment below and just let me know what are your areas that you feel didn't go as well last time, that you're going to be able to now change and do differently this time in a way that's going to help your nerves as well, make you feel a lot more prepared. So pop a little comment below. What are you going to do differently this time that you didn't do last time, or that you did do last time that you're not going to do this time? Either way round. Let me know. Okay, so if, for example, you actually left it too late, didn't have a strategy, then you want to make sure that you're prepared on your exam day. That's really, really important. So once these have kind of come through, I'm actually going to be wrapping up in the next kind of 5-10 minutes or so. But if you have any questions, it can be revision related, it can be anatomy related, whatever it might be, then please do pop them in below. I'm going to leave you one more little comment on here before I get through and answer some of these about what you're going to change, ready for exam day, to do the second time, the third time, the fourth time differently, to make sure you pass this time. What are you going to do differently? And the next one is literally don't cram anything new in on exam day. Regardless of the time of your exam, try not to put any new information in your head. Just keep with the old stuff, the stuff you've already learned. You just want to freshen up. Just remind yourself of the visual stuff. Go over your brain dump. But don't fill yourself with any new stuff, because if you suddenly don't get it, it's going to cause a huge amount of panic. If you don't know it by exam day, you're not going to know it. Ready for your exam. That sounded a little bit negative. Apologies. But make sure that you go in there with a huge amount of belief. That's the main thing that I would definitely say. So, with regards to your questions, any tips for remembering planes of movement? We've done all of those. Second time through, perfect. Okay, any other changes that people are planning on doing ready for their exams as they set forward? One thing that people have said in the past is the preparation side of it. Okay, Nikki, fantastic. So you didn't have any strategy, and e-learning was boring. Okay, fair enough. Didn't hold my attention. Love the idea of a brain dump. Definitely going to do that this time. Awesome, good. I'm glad you got a good strategy out of it as well. The brain dump's fantastic because it literally will allow you to be able to evaporate everything out of your brain, chuck it down on paper, and then when you get to the exam, your manual is there. You've got everything you need, but practice it in advance because it will really help you, because then you just are regurgitating a nice, easy, simple map. You just want to regurgitate an image-based map, basically, ready to go in. But that sounds really cool, Nikki. Good plan. The other things that people have done in terms of preparation is that they've sort of prepared their food the night before, that side of things, and that helps avoid nerves as well. And tell your friends in advance that you're not going to kind of talk through and any sort of exam stuff that morning before or straight afterwards. Regardless, if you don't have any other questions, please pop them in below. I'm going to give it another couple of minutes. If I don't see any other questions popping in, then we'll call it an evening and we'll do another one of these shortly. But I hope that you've sort of got a lot from tonight, and that you've got any other questions, please do ping them across. We'll keep the comment feed going underneath, so I can always comment on a couple of questions once we've finished going live for today. Nikki and Hannah and Charlie, thank you so much for commenting tonight. It's been really nice to hear from you and nice to have a little bit of interaction backwards and forwards as well. But I wish you all the best of luck for your exam. Not that you need it, and especially Nikki, it's Sunday, so it's approaching, but you've got enough time and you'll be absolutely fine. And I've been speaking to you, Nikki, so I know that you're preparing as you go through. I know you're changing your strategy and getting yourself ready. And sometimes that second time just gives you a little bit of kick up the butt, doesn't it? Ready to go, ready to do something different. If you have any questions, please do pop them in below. Outside of that, I hope that you have an amazing end to your week. And if you've enjoyed this, pop a little couple of comments, a little like button if you can. Hop the likes a few times if you've got a little bit from this, just so I can see some lovely likes go across the screen. That would be fantastic. And best of luck for your exam, and I will see you shortly. I'll stay on for another couple of minutes just so you can pop a little comments in, and then if I don't hear any, I'll just whisper away. But please do pop a couple of likes just to let me know that you got something from this, and I will see you soon. Okay. Fantastic. Okay guys, I'm going to leave it there for this evening. I hope you had an awesome time. I certainly did. It's lovely to chat with you, and best of luck for your exam, and I'll see you soon. Take care.